let's get started. Welcome to the Carson City Culture and Tourism Authority Board of Directors meeting. It's Monday, September 9th, 2024 at 4 o'clock. We're in the Carson City Community Center at the Robert Bob Kroll Boardroom. Welcome, everyone. Can I get a roll call, Linda?
Yes, Mike Jones,
Here.
Andrew Reno,
Here.
Kitty McKay,
Here.
Stacy Giomi.
Here.
We have a quorum.
If I could ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, we'll take item 4, public comment. Any member of the public wish to speak?
Thank you, Chair. Denny French, Carson City. I want to say that I had the pleasure of going to the Kaboom Con put on by 97 to Now Productions, and I was so tickled. I was tickled to see the range of ages that individuals were enjoying it, the range of opportunities as far as the presentations they had, and the way that they put it on their signage, their orderly directional individuals, their consideration to individuals, each one of them that presented. And I just want to encourage you to maybe consider a CTA towards their having that. I was out talking to Eric, and I had to figure out what that was, and he helped me. It's a way of helping an individual by paying for the location, but then encouraging them to come with their vendors and with their presentations and such. And I think this Kaboom Com was very well done, and I really would appreciate it if you would take them into consideration. They seem to show very big interest in coming back, so thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? With that, we'll move on to item 5, approval of the minutes of the August 12th, 2024 CTA board meeting. Any member of the board have any changes, corrections, suggestions? The minutes, if not, if I could get a motion.
I motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. With that, we'll take up the consent agenda. Any member of the public like any individual item pulled for discussion? Seeing none, any member of the board want any individual item pulled for discussion? If not, if I could get a motion.
Motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda as written. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. That takes us to item 10, presentation and discussion regarding the 2024 Mark Twain Days Festival. I think, Eric, you're going to lead it, but I don't know if David, you want to lead it? No, he says Eric's got it all.
So we do have Val here from the Brewery Arts Center. I'll let her introduce herself while Eric's grabbing something. Thank you, Val, for being here, and
Right.
let these two take it away.
All right. Could you state your name for the record?
Valerie Moore for the record.
Thank you.
Eric Brooks, Arts and Culture Program Manager, for the record. Thank you very much, Val, for being here. Spike was unable to attend, but Val, as the Deputy Director, is more than accomplished and did so much for this event. She really took the lead and did some incredible things right when she got started with this position. So I'll let her take it from here. And if you have any questions, please reach out and I'll interject with any comments as well.
Okay. Mark Twain, go ahead and start the, okay. Mark Twain Days 2024 was a great partnership with, between Carson City and Virginia City. We had over 100 events over 3 days. This was kind of a different model from the previous year in that we've had a literary focus. So there's a lot of focus on authors, poets, workshops, reading, different lectures, talkbacks, film, history, and Chautauquas. Next. Some of the highlights that from the Mark Twain Festival is we had a kind of a family free day on Saturday. So the Children's Museum, Nevada State Museum, Railroad Museum, and State Capitol tours were all free for families. We also had historic guided walking tours along the Kit Carson Trail. We had donkey-driven wagon rides, which were done in support of Silver Saddle Ranch. The Downtown Business Association had treasure and scavenger hunts all day. We also had a art, rare book, an author's fair over at the Brewery Arts Center. There was Chautauqua at the Foreman Roberts House, and then a standing room only connections featuring McAvoy Lane, who does the Mark Twain impersonations. We had over 100 participants for the mustache photo, and Senator Jackie Rosen issued 14 certificates of appreciation to partner organizations and 15 certificates to individual performers. And then to top it all off, at the bow tie ball, Mayor Lori Bagwell issued a proclamation for Mark Twain Days. Next. Some of the Carson City workshops, we had quite a few. We had 5 on Friday, which was Mark Twain's influence on African American society with Michael Smith. Don Kuhl did a talk on Your Life as a Story. Dr. Amy Galeri did the history of books, which was a hand-on printing press and bookbinding over at Western Nevada College. We also had Elements of Writing with Susan Morgan Williams and Literature in the Digital Age with Scott Neffer and Danny Putney. And then Saturday, we had 10 different workshops. Elevating Fiction with Poetry by the Silver State Storytellers, Carson City Then and Now with Judd Block, Family Fun Saturday Gratitude Cards over at the Nevada State Museum, printmaking at the Community Center, newspaper workshops at the Children's Museum, Writing for the Silver Screen by the Silver State Storytellers again, family-friendly printmaking at the Community Center, and then there was a Build Your Own Calaveras Frog over at the Ogre's Homes Pottery Studio. And then we had The Wind Live with Phil Corbett and Michael Branch, and River and Bridges, the ways we move through and towards with Gail Marie Palmer and Courtney Clifton. Music was a larger element this year. Friday we had the Shepherd of the Sierras hosted the Carson City Symphony, and the Riders of the Sky concert and the Nashville Social Club sold out. And then Saturday there was free music from 10 to 3 p.m. over at the Brewery Arts Center and Coco Montoya at the Nashville Social Club that evening. And then we had the Bow Tie Ball, which was at the State Museum, where we had the Mark Sexton's band and 6 other musicians that were staged throughout the museum. That was kind of a fun little search for all the different attendees. And then the Carson Street Ragtime Band played at the White House in their outdoor gazebo that night as well.
So far, this has been riveting, and it's bringing back all the good memories that we had a few months ago. Virginia City was one of my favorite elements, and we were so excited to be able to wrap them into what Mark Twain was about in the bigger picture and being able to link a larger part of our communities together. So in Virginia City, there were focused events at the V&T Depot, which included the Mark Twain train, which we're going to try to next year call it the Twang Twain Train, which if you want to try to say that fast. St. Mary's Art Center and Fourth Ward School and Museum both had exhibits and activities through all 3 days. Gallery of the West, Territorial Enterprise Museum, which if you haven't been to, it is an absolute walk back in time, and to see Mark Twain's desk still sitting there and the pencils that he was using. And it is a museum beyond belief, and the owners, what they're trying to do with that property and restoring it and getting the upstairs back into a rentable apartment. It's absolutely amazing, the true treasure that we have here. And then also the Mark Twain Saloon and Casino were great partners. The highlight on Friday was, of course, the V&T Railways train. 137 passengers came up from Eastgate Station. The train ride was accompanied by performances from the Reno Poet Laureate Jesse James Ziegler, who was also the MC of the event and choreographed over 10 different events throughout that weekend. He's fantastic to work with. We had the official Tom and Becky again from Hannibal, Missouri, and live music with Rachel McElhaney. The ride also featured refreshments and a souvenir glass. And then once in Virginia City, the VCT, I should say commission, my apologies, had shuttles running between venues to allow accessibility for all demographics. So really a great citywide coverage using the arts and culture to form bonds. Saturday and Sunday trains both sold out with 255 passengers each day. And St. Mary's Art Center had a full slate of activities, including art exhibitions, readings, painting workshops, live music, and a slideshow. Fourth Ward School Museum gave printing press demonstrations, Victorian hat fashions, and history presentations. And of course, the tours of the Territorial Enterprise Museum were sold out. Marketing. It's too bad Lydia isn't here because she is such a force of nature with this, and we're so very lucky to have her. So we had several meetings between Visit Carson City and Brewery Arts Center, and then lots of individual meetings with other partners. The V&T train did quite a bit. VCTC did tons of stuff. So we were leveraging all of our possibilities to get as many interviews and publications as we could to get people to come out to this event. So Brewery Arts Center took the lead on the marketing and PR, including an $18,000 ad buy, which was bigger than last year. Visit Carson City's Lydia Beck assisted on many levels, including the webpage management on visitcarsoncity.com. And we're going to leave the website on Visit Carson City. We feel that with the traction and the leverage that it's a good partnership in that way. And we're doing the same thing with the Mural Festival. That event is going to live on the Visit Carson City website. Kay Cox, who did the newspaper last year, was hired for the graphic design work and to format the 24-page event newspaper, which was about 3 times bigger than it was the year before, and 24 pages is as big as you can make those. So we're gonna have to figure out some things for next year. We ordered 5,000 of them, and they were distributed throughout Gardnerville, Minden, Carson City, Virginia City, and Reno. There was a robust reach for media through our partnership with KPS3. This resulted in television coverage in Sacramento and Reno. We also had free media with KUNR, KNBC, Carson Now, the Sierra Nevada Ally, the Nevada Business Magazine, and the Nevada Appeal. Our partnership with the Virginia City Tourism Commission and the V&T Railway also had independent ad buys and social media strategies. This led to live coverage on the Friday of the event in Virginia City. There were several people that went up at 5 a.m. and then they did coverage every 15 minutes at a different location. Super fun.
So kind of opportunities and things we learned this year to take into next year is we're considering a new format for the event newspaper, an easier way to gauge like when and where events are taking. So we might do something with color coding. We feel like the Mother's Day weekend was not a great weekend for us, especially a lot of events start to pick up in May. So we were thinking of possibly moving it into October and run it a Thursday through Saturday, likely October 16th through 18th. Events are dropping off then, so it might be a good time to fill in that spot.
If I can jump in real quick.
Okay, yeah.
Stu and I were looking at the event schedule the other day, and then Dave and Stu and I, primarily Dave, was running numbers from the average daily rates, and we were able to see how having these events later in the season really even out that entire stretch. So it's hard to move event each year, so we're trying to figure a date where we have as least amount of competition and where we can really have an event that will be most advantageous to our community and to our partners. So that's why we're looking at that October 16th through 18th date. Right now, there is 0 conflicts within the arts and culture community in the entire region and also with Stu's calendar.
And now that the Brewery Arts Center, since I've been in place at the Brewery Arts Center, there's a solid team to move forward in Mark Twain days. So it'll be a much more streamlined process that will get going a lot sooner this year. We will have a set marketing team working with Carson City and Virginia City so that we can work together to increase our marketing and PR efforts. We are going to focus everything more on the downtown corridor, so it's more of a walking festival. A little bit of a flashback to its first year. We're going to use the legislature grounds and the McFadden Plaza, as well as keeping like all the museums involved and such.
Yeah, we went very ambitious this year with having the 100 events and spreading to Carson City, and we did see some events that were amazing content, but we didn't have enough people come out. We're calling it ticket fatigue or event fatigue. There was just too much going on for our population at this point, so we're going to shrink things back down, focus on 3 or 4 really big, important events where we can get big crowds to, still have all the fun stuff around the side, still include Virginia City in as many ways as we can, and possibly have 1 or 2 events in Carson Valley this year. And that's why we're going to shrink that back down to a more localized space.
And then, as previously mentioned, we're going to bring back more music and do more like storytellers, poets kind of thing. And there was a bit of a lack of working with local media this year. And so we're going to try to do better in that area.
Yeah, we had such amazing reach from outside of the 50 miles. We forgot a little bit about inside the 50 miles. And so that's something that we're working on a continuous basis now with all of our events, is to make sure Carson Now, Sierra Nevada Ally are involved and picking up all our events. We got great coverage for the opening of the BAC Satellite Gallery. We had pictures and content printed in the Nevada Appeal, and we're looking to have really good coverage for the Mural Festival as well with the local content, and that's already begun.
Okay.
Questions?
Questions, comments from the board? No, I love the event. I think I love the second year, how much it grew. I love including Virginia City, and then you're going to try to grow it more out in the Carson Valley. And you answered one of my questions was the 100 events the right amount? But it seems like you've thought of that and you're going to pare that down to more, I guess, doable events, not so spread out.
Yeah, and a lot of the content we'll be able to repeat. The event with Jed Block and the slideshow went scheduled an hour and a half, and we kicked him off the stage at 2 hours. But it had great attendance, lots of questions, and it had, of all the events, that had one of the more mixed demographics age-wise. So it was nice to see a younger generation coming out interested in Carson's past.
Good. Well, Eric, thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah. Stacy, you have a question?
Yeah, I just, did we have a sense of how many people from out of town attended?
We have a sense that it was better than last year. Some of the numbers, we're having the engineering unit look back on that weekend and the weekend before and after. The numbers are kind of funny in Datafy. And so they're doing, sometimes when there's a spike, they think that it was a mistake, and so it takes that spike away. So we're having them look into that. The numbers were lower, showed lower than what we know was there. So they're doing some background information to see what the aggregate was forming from. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah. As a follow-up, when they get that sort of re-reviewed, maybe we can present it back to us.
Be happy to bring back that element, sure.
All right, any other questions, comments? Well, thanks. A lot of hard work went into it. I appreciate it. Good work. Looking forward to next year.
Yes, and we can't give enough credit to Brewery Arts, but really in particular to Val for all the efforts she did in event organizing and putting all of these different elements together. She was absolutely fantastic. So thank you, Val. It's nice. I'm glad
Thank
we
you.
poached you from Sierra Arts Foundation in Reno, Nevada.
All right, thanks. Moving on to item 11, non-action items. Executive Director update. David?
Yeah, thank you, Chair Jones. For the record, David Peterson, Executive Director with Visit Carson City. 3 items. Thank you, Val, for being here. Appreciate it. 3 items that I wanted to quickly chat through. So on the VNT, sticking with all things trains, long lines are still running. Mixed weekends, September and October. And then we did bring back 2 Toast to the Canyon trains. I'm happy to say 1 last month, 1 this month. Sold them out in a matter of hours. 130 seats last month, 155 seats this month. And in the past, we typically have cut off somewhere between 80 and 90. So I was very pleased to see we just kind of pushed right through that. It was a big load on the team, but having said that, we're going to actually chat at our board meeting planning session in January or February to talk about running Toast of the Canyon trains once a month, June through October. I think the demand is there. So looking at some different options, maybe mixing it up. Not everything has to be a wine train. Maybe we have a spirits train, a beer train, something themed, right? That, would be something for kids as well. So we're looking at some different options. And then I'm happy to say, Polar Express tickets, a little bit of luck, they will go on sale September 16th. So we'll have a mass flood of, 14, 15,000 tickets. And I should think within a week, we'll probably have 99% of those tickets sold as well. So it's a quick V&T update. Obviously, there's been a lot in the news over Centennial Park and everything going on with the turf versus grass. I want to let everyone, especially Andrew being newer to the board, just give you a little bit of background, and then of course Stacy can jump in. But just as a friendly reminder to get us up and through Board of Supervisors last week, if you go back to April 10th, 2023, our board at that time approved the project as it was presented and recommended to the Board of Supervisors that we would fund the project with bonds using the TOT dollars. Subsequently, there were 12 separate board actions at public meetings to implement the bond approval. And then on March 6, 2024, the bonds were sold, starting a 3-year clock for the project. So that was March of 2024. August 20th, 2024, the Parks and Recreation Commission unanimously recommended the use of synthetic turf to the Board of Supervisors and the design contract for consideration. So we did have several local user group representatives, tournament organizers, lodging properties supporting the project. And there was opposition, of course, from primarily the non-user group. Fast forward to last week, September 5th, 2024, the Board of Supervisors awarded a contract with Lloyd Consulting Group, LLC, for the John D. Winters softball field synthetic turf design project. That contract was just a little over $238,000 through February 28, 2025. And the project is required to go back to the board for another meeting before going to bid, and it will not include crumb rubber infill as a part of the project, but they're looking at safer alternatives, I guess more environmentally friendly alternatives. So I don't know, Stacy, if I captured everything just to kind of bring the CTA board up and through last week.
Yeah, I was going to cover that as well, but you covered everything. It's the consultant will look at infill other than crumb rubber, whether it be cork or walnut shells, or there's a number of other items that might be used. So that's the reason it's coming back to the board before it goes to bid, so we can look at that and the added costs.
Super. Okay, great. And then the last item that I had is just a quick update on the 3D cultural corridor front. So Eric, along with Erica Perry up in Story County and Brian Fitzgerald down in Douglas County, they're feverishly working right now on the grant application, which is due this Sunday. As of right now, we have been told that there may be a special commission meeting, potentially the 8th or the 9th of October. That will be to approve, as recommended by a sub-panel, I guess, the number two cohort projects. So we're one of those two, the other one being Boulder City. That meeting triggers then a 2-year spend implementation clock. So from that point, we'll have 2 years to expend those dollars as they're approved by the Nevada Commission on Tourism. So hopefully, if all goes well, Eric and I will be bringing a full plan, in terms of what was approved by the Commission on Tourism to this body next month. And it'll be a timing thing, obviously, but if their meeting ends up being later in the month, we'll have to do it at the November meeting. But I just felt it was important to let you all know where we're at on 3D Cultural Corridor. So they're busting their butt to get this grant application in, and it's not been easy, to say the least. So a lot of work is going into this. And as you can imagine, it's not just for Carson City, right? It includes Douglas County, non-Lake, Virginia City, as well as Silver City, and Lyon County is a part of this as well. So anyway, that is my update for this month, and if there are any questions, happy to answer them. All right. Hearing none, let's move on to 11B, transient occupancy tax report. So this is our first look at 25. I did not change anything for right now. We only had a small sampling of properties come in for July. So at this point, I didn't want to change our original estimates in terms of that 1% decrease that we were forecasting for fiscal 25 relative to fiscal 24 actual. So that's why you see that straight line, negative 1% on the bottom row. So nothing to add on this one for right now. So if there are any questions, happy to answer, but we'll see where we get come next month. I have a little better idea, obviously. Well, we'll know what July looks like from all the properties and have a read on maybe August. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, with just a handful of properties for 1 month, I didn't want to start unilaterally changing anything. So that's a quick update there. If there are no questions, I will move on to 11C. So this is a cool report. Full credit to Chris and to our properties. We were able to get some of the anomalies worked through for March, April, and I think May, some of those numbers. This is for last fiscal year. So this is the one, if you recall, the goal is at the end of our third month in the quarter following, we will try to present the most current quarter's worth of data. So in this case, this is the full fiscal year 24. So I won't walk through all of these numbers unless you guys have any particular, questions. I think you will see occupancy. Well, you can't see it on here, but if we were looking at fiscal 23, you see that occupancy was up a shade, ADR was up, and I think RevPAR too, Chris, was up relative to fiscal 23. I'm just going off the top of my head in terms of the hotel motel side of things. So again, any questions on this one? I think it's a great report. Definitely gets into some of the specifics, right, that make up the lodging side of things. And we're also, full disclosure, this data gets overlaid into Datafy. So it gets layered in relative to the mobile traffic data that we have. And then I'm also working with the state on an overlay for sales tax data as well into our modeling on a monthly basis for the specific NICS codes, job classification codes, or might remember them as 6 SICs, but the specific classifications that have to do with the tourism industry. So we're trying to, again, make better use of the data analytics platform that we have, not just relying on mobile data, because again, mobile data does not necessarily equate on a one-for-one basis, a mobile device as a visitor, et cetera. So we're bringing in some of this additional tax revenue. So that is my update on our big report. So any questions? Okay, great. And the goal is we'll continue with Chris's great work to bring these reports forward in that third month, in the quarter following the most immediate one. So with that, let's get on to 11D. Mr. Brooks, Arts and Culture Program Update, and let me get you set up here. There you are.
All right, arts and culture. That's quite a photo on that first page there. Yeah, but we'll talk more about that in a moment. So we're going to talk today about Carson City Watercolor, the plein air festival that happened, Arts and Culture Media Plan, and the Murals and Music 2024. So this image is one of several that was supplied by Dr. Anna Camp from the Nevada State Museum, and they were supplied to Greg Deal, who's an artist out of Colorado, but he grew up on Pyramid Lake Paiute tribe. And he's going to be doing a billboard-like mural incorporating several of the basket makers of that time onto the north wall of the museum. They'll be opening a basket gallery, so this is a perfect way that they can advertise for that gallery, and we can get a nice, beautiful mural on that boring beige wall. So who knew we had a watercolor festival, a plein air festival here? Well, it was the 4th annual one. It's put on by an artist named Colleen Reynolds. They had over 11,000 in total income from sponsorships, donations, ticket and painting sales, and artist entry fees. This was about a week long. It was 5 days primarily, but 2 artists came in early because they weren't able to do it during that week. The event cost approximately $7,000. Expenses included artist awards at $3,000, artist sales commissions, which were $2,700, venue reservations, prizes, artist swag bags, and other miscellaneous supplies and expenses. And as far as plein air festivals go, most don't have a cash prize. This one having $1,000 for the main prize and then $3,000 total is a pretty big deal, except for 4 or 5 of the really big ones. This is right up there with all of them. Over 50 people attended the watercolor demo on Wednesday, August 14th. They had 30 of the 33 registered artists gather in the local area to paint plein air and watercolor for 4 days. Artists painted scenes from Carson City, Reno, Washoe, and Tahoe. 70 plein air paintings were entered for the watercolor competition on Sunday, August 18th. Does everyone know what plein air is, by the way? So plein air is where you paint live. So all these artists scattered around the region, primarily in Carson City, and then painted, and they had that time to paint, and then those paintings went into the gallery for sale. So it's a super fun event to see people doing it that quickly. They recognized 8 artists due to sponsorship donations by Betty and Fred Holmes, St. Charles Hotel, Carson Piazza Bar, Planet Financial, and Judy and Alan Welsh. Colleen is a very interesting woman and a very talented artist. We had a great meeting a couple weeks ago. This is an event that we're going to put our backs behind and make it a national call and continue it to be an annual. Most plein air festivals are multimedia, so you can do watercolor, you can do oil, you can do whatever you want. Oils are the most common, so having one that's primarily watercolor is very unique. And so we're looking at ways to partner with her to make this a much bigger event and bring a lot more artists and their friends, and then also that subgroup of people that travel the country and go to all these festivals around. So I think this is a really big opportunity for the city to have another signature event. Thank you to Lydia Beck again for the Carson City Arts and Culture Media budget. If you want to look at the graphs, I'll read through it, and then if there's any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. The Arts and Culture Media budget for FY25 is $25,000, specifically for arts and culture-related events and assets. This is a fluid document and will likely change throughout the year. The budget is heavy in paid social to draw for arts and culture-related events and attractions. We've branched out into some key specific print opportunities coupled with digital ad placements. This will leverage events and attractions individually instead of just an overarching message. We are expanding our reach with targeted radio ad buys in the Reno, Sparks, Tahoe markets, including underwriting with KUNR. The KUNR reach will allow us to access to a listenership with upper middle class families. Our new relationship with K-Wink will focus on a younger, activity and event-driven demographic. These portions are local focused, but as we have done in the past, we need to bolster attendance and attention to our growing arts and culture-related events to create a larger, encompassing conversation and buzz from those out of the area. All radio will support local arts and culture events. Other categories will be left with flexibility for items that pop up throughout the year. Flexibility is necessary as we continue to create and bring new events to market and to improve current events. Any questions on those numbers? Great, now we can talk about the fun stuff. Music and Murals 2024. Super exciting. This will be the 9th mural event in Northern Nevada, and the tide has definitely turned. And the second one in Carson this year has some really amazing artists coming. So this is an image that was done last year by Bill Lewis out of Salt Lake City. He does have Nevada roots, though. This is on the side of Fish. He's going to be coming back and doing the south-facing wall of Heidi's Family Restaurant. They have done a good job preserving the oldest mural in Carson City, which is on their north side. And the new owner was able to find an image of what the back looked like. So originally the back was painted at the same time as the front, and it was a connecting piece. So he's going to do his best to recreate that old mural from 1993 with updated colors. our master, every year we try to have a master of ceremonies. Buzz Blur is an absolute amazing person. He's credited for painting over 10,000 boxcars when he was trying to quit smoking. He worked for the railroad in Arkansas, and when he was trying to quit smoking, he would take chalk and then draw this cowboy signature and then write a little poem at the bottom. And has since went into mail art, which is a whole nother realm of artworks, created tens of thousands of pieces of that. He passed away. He came out in 2019 and was our MC in Elko, and he passed away a few months ago. So I've been in contact with the family, and we want to do an in memoriam to him, and we'll have some of his artworks for sale and also some of the works that he had given to a lot of the local artists here in town. And then John Metcalf is an absolute amazing story. He was an incredibly prolific muralist in the late 60s and early 70s. He painted over 300 murals in Vegas. He painted all over the United States. He would go up to people in their businesses and say, I'll paint you a mural on that wall, and if you don't like it, you don't have to pay me. He traveled in his car with paints and brushes in the back and literally just painted the Western United States. Right now, there is only one mural that's credited to him that is still in existence, and that's because it's behind a brick wall that was bricked up. A woman found one of his paintings in a thrift store and started doing some research on him. There was nothing about him. And so she's an old journalist. She did some research and compiled a little 15-minute clip of the legacy of John Metcalf, this completely forgotten artist. And he spent his last years in Carson City and passed away here. So we're in contact with some of his family members, and we'll have pictures and newspaper articles of his life. So a couple memorial master of ceremonies. The big names, Hobby Corte and Leda Urbelts, will be coming from Spain. Prism, who's been here before, she's coming back from Mexico. Greg Deal that I mentioned before. Charlie Malpass and Dave Titus from California, and Bill and Cole are coming from Utah. We have several new artists from our local Carson City, Reno, Sparks area. And then some of the highlights for the mural locations. Brewery Arts Center is doing 2 pieces. They'll be one wall away from having their entire campus covered in murals. Nevada State Museum, I mentioned, is going to be great. The Visit Carson City north-facing wall will have 3 of the 7 alcoves painted there. 221 East William Street, the same artist who painted the west side will be painting the east side, and we're planning on doing the roof next year after the construction is done. And then the fun ones, Carson City Community Center and Carson City Senior Center. Those are going to be 2 of my favorites for sure. And the Old Nashville Social Club is going to get a little refresh on their east-facing wall as well. So right now we're at 21 artists. We're going to close it down at there. We have a little more budget to work with, but we want to get our maps made. The maps this year will include all the murals in Carson City, and they'll be color-coded from pre-23, the festival from 23, and this year's 24. And we're right about 70 points of interest right now, which is great. This next photo, that is next door to the Hardman House. It's the Lotus Salon and Spa facing west. And that's probably one of the best examples we have of last year of having a blighted wall get turned into a transformable piece of art. Those are 2 local artists, Ann Simone and Lauren Huft. Lauren Huft will be coming back this year. So we had lots of partner organizations, and that's what makes this event so much fun. It really is a community-driven event, but it does bring people from all over our region and further away. So I don't need to read through those, I don't think. Public art supports a culture of beautification and is a draw for the cultural traveler and sustainable tourism. These creative neighborhood building programs offer positive change. Adding large-scale public art increases the sense of ownership, spurs confidence in the future, and encourages property investment. This in turn creates civic pride, resulting in a safer, more economically productive, and healthy community. And we can see that in cities throughout all of the world. So Hobby Corte. So this, believe it or not, is going to be what it looks like when he paints this. This is the south-facing side of 323 Stewart Street. It's an apartment complex that's being redone, and they'll be renting hopefully next month is their goal. So a little bit about this piece. So Hobby's Basque, and that's why we wanted to bring him here. He was able to come out last year for a family vacation to visit his friend who had moved here to get her doctorate. And we were able to have a couple nice conversations. And he said, why don't you bring me? I can come paint in Carson City, which is absolutely amazing. He's painting large scale works all through Europe. He runs his own graffiti Mural Festival. This will be the 21st year he's done that. He's a big deal, and we're very fortunate to have him. So a little bit about this piece. So imagine a Basque shepherd traveling to northern Nevada across the ocean to settle into a new life. The main image is of the shepherd's best friend and necessary ally to keep the flock alive and flourishing. Removing the shepherd allows the imagination to have the mural represent all the Basque who came throughout the decades. The dog is looking to the horizon, to the red moon that is also associated with feminine energy, allowing us to tap into our intuition and connect with our inner wisdom. A poetic touch that resonates with all of us wanting to build a brighter future together. The background has traditional trees from the Basque region. The flying fish symbolize the hope for a better future. They aim to overcome mistakes and problems to make a happier life for their families. The astronaut helmet ties the mural to themes of relationships and aspirations, adding another layer of meaning. And he could talk for probably half an hour about all of these pieces. Each element is so special. So that's the condensed version of his explanation of this mural. And I wanted to put that in because these are a lot more than just pretty pictures to look at. They really tell stories about our past, where we are today, and where we're going to be in the future. And it's super exciting that we have such a forward-thinking board of supervisors and supportive community to make these events happen. So thanks to all of them and to all of you for supporting this event and future arts and culture events that bring such positive change. Any questions?
Thank you, Eric. Any questions for Mr. Brooks?
No, I love the murals, and that was especially interesting, the story behind it, the last one. Makes you look inward. I liked it.
And the new map will also have blurbs on the murals, very much like the Kit Carson Trail. One side will have the map and the addresses and dots, and the other ones you can read about the meetings. We'll also be putting up QR codes on the murals so people can, that'll link directly back to the Visit Carson City website. And this year's muralists, we're going to do 15 to 30 second Instagrammable cell phone interviews with them. And then this year's murals, those QR codes will go to those videos. So doing everything I can do to make Zach have more work.
And he needs more work. Now, I want to just to thank Eric and BAC. They've done an amazing job. Like, I don't know if everybody realizes how cool, how unique, and wonderful it is to bring these incredible artists from all around the world to Carson City, because it's really putting us on a map. I think we have a great trajectory here with public art, especially with murals. So awesome, awesome work. Do you want to say anything about our opening, which was awesome and and hugely attended?
We had our first artist reception for Maria Merman and Janice Stowers, who's a glass artist. We had over 70 people, really good energy in the room. Maria went around and Zach got some video of her explaining the stories behind each of her large-scale fabric pieces. The space itself lends so well to a gallery, and our new space in general is absolutely fantastic. We've had so many people from the local community come in, and we have had, and I think Linda can confirm, she's had lots of conversations about the artwork with people coming from all over the country. It's definitely been a talking point and a draw. So thank you for having that brilliant wisdom to get that space and that gallery space.
Hang on, let me write that down. Brilliant wisdom. Yes.
And we'll be doing quarterly shows. Our next show is Rosita Torodova, who's a painter and sculptor, educator at TMCC. And they're Nevada landscapes, but they're really, really unique with geometric shapes using silver leaf and gold leaf. So we'll be hanging her early October, and her reception, still figuring on the date, but it'll probably be end of October, early November to get out of the holiday season.
Awesome. All right, any questions for Eric? All right, good work, my son. Yeah, good stuff. All right, with that, we will move on to 11E, Events and Sales Update. Mr. Wexler, take it away.
For the record, Stu Wexler, Visit Carson City. I just want to add on to what Maria did, that when Linda goes out of the office, we take turns helping visitors come in. And just in the time that I've helped visitors, I've received and talked about a lot of the comments for what Maria has done on the wall, and people are amazed that they can go around, look at it. So it is a pretty amazing gallery, and it does get the eye of a lot of visitors coming into town. So it says a lot for Carson City. So I am just going to go through a couple of the events and a few of what's coming up in the next couple months. As you know, in August, we did have the Outlaw Flat Track. If any of you have been there, it's been going on here since, 2017. This year, for the unusual weather we had in August, the day that this flat track was happening happened to be the coldest day in record in August in this area. And it was a downpour. So the registration, the ridership was down a little bit compared to what it normally is. You know, normally we're 9,500 degrees constant in August. So with that, we had, it was around 200 riders, which is still pretty good, but we usually have a lot more registered. And due to the weather forecast, they did have some cancellations before that, and they weren't even sure they were going to be able to run the race with the rain, the downpour, because as you know, the track is pure mud by the time the rain was done. But 90% of the riders that do come in were from California. We did have local riders, but the majority travel through California as they have different flat track shows gone through most of Northern California, the Central Valley, California. So they look to possibly change the date next August. We're looking at that, so we'll go from there. But a lot of the people did come out, even in the rain. The seats were wet, the bleachers were drenched, but the people were bundled up in August, so it was pretty funny to see. But they still come out and support the event. They love it, and I think they'll continue to do so. And we just had, over Labor Day, Frafek, the Hema, the sword fighting, which is still becoming pretty popular here. It's held at the Carson City, the community center gym, and they had about 80% participants. It is a women's event, and it's becoming more popular. It's one of the biggest in the country still, and they look to expand that here in Carson to draw more spectators from out of the area. And they do have 20 judges that come out, and a lot of those are from out of the area as well. Moving on. And this year, we have the NICA race, which the Capital City Crusher. It's going to be held the 22nd at WNC. And this year, they anticipate 400 student riders coming in as compared to around 300. So it is gaining momentum. It is very attractive, and a lot of students really love this race. They're coming in. Teams are coming in from Ely, Mammoth, and the Bishop areas for this year's race. And they're looking to draw about 1,500 spectators. And David has a short clip on, this is from last year.
We are at Western Nevada College in Carson City, Nevada. We're here for the final race of our series, the Capital City Crusher. Families are stoked to spend time together. Our volunteer coaches are helping the kids. The kids make friends with other teams. It's just really awesome all around. So the course is a really cool one. It's challenging but rewarding with the fast downhills.
My name is Malia Brock. I race for the Mammoth Mountain Bike team. We're at the Carson City Capital Crusher race. NICA is the National Interscholastic Cycling Association. It's all around the U.S. NICA is just the best. I mean, it's great that we can all come together with a similar sport and all have fun at different paces. That's what makes NICA so awesome.
So we're gearing up for the 2024 Capital City Crusher. It will be our second year back in Carson City, Nevada, and we're stoked to get the kids out on bikes racing on the wonderful trails.
I believe this event will expand, and even possibly 2 days. It's a one-day event, and for maybe next year we'll go into 2 days. And in about 2 weeks, about 13 days, I'm leaving for our first annual Teams 24 sports show down in Anaheim. This is pretty exciting. This is sports organizations from all over the country. And just topping on what David mentioned about the turf, the appointments just closed last Friday. I'll find out what's scheduled next week. But I did touch base with one of the presidents of 5x5 Soccer Club, just asking about the turf and what his thoughts were and what they do when they look for tournaments. And he was just saying, you know, they play on either grass or turf. They don't look particularly for one or the other, but he did say that there's a huge demand for turf events because it is always perfect, no rainouts, no bald patches, no dust or dirt spots. So we are seeing that demand for a turf. I think it's happening throughout the country. And Director Budge mentioned in the meeting as well that we have been working with one organization for years, senior softball, Rock and Reno, Fran Dow, and I've known her for a long time. And she not only is excited about us, the possibility of having that, she actually added another date this year, even though we probably won't have it, but the interest in Carson for our fields is gaining momentum, and we're seeing that throughout the country. And I think this team show, those are two floor banners we're going to have, and the other swag is a disc golf flyer we're going to have, which disc golf is very popular as well. So we're going to have one-on-one appointments, about 40 appointments, and there's close to or probably over by the time we get down there to over 300 sports events organizations from all over the U.S. So we're very excited about this, and we can see a lot of potential from sports tourism coming to our area, even more so than what we have a lot of the events we've had for years and years and years. But we're looking for an expansion, even in the area. Pickleball, track, racing, there's all kinds of sports organizations that are looking to come to a venue like Carson City. So, and then I'll report once I get back from the show on the results. And then we have our annual Bonanza Kennel Club, Candy Roper. We've been doing this for a long time, but we are supporting her. She does an incredible job, and this year they're looking to bring people from over 100 miles away, which is what we want. The American Kennel Club does a great job in getting us the results, the data from the show. So it's probably like a week after the show, she'll get me the results. They're expecting between 700 and 800 entries for this year, majority from out of state. And this year, they're also sending out an extra 1,000 entries to increase the numbers of participation in the Kennel Club show. And it's at 28th and 29th at Fuji. If you've never been there, it's pretty cool. The pets are amazingly trained. It's just like watching Westminster on TV. It's pretty amazing to see what they've done. So, and that is it, except for my Bronco. So we are having, just a quick note on that, in October, we're having the Ford Bronco Super Celebration. Tom Broberg has already started registration a lot earlier this year. They're expecting in the area of about 180 vehicles. They've put a great ad. I only have one magazine, but Ford Bronco magazine, from last year, they have an incredible article and pictures that Zach took from the show, from the event last year, Prison Hill and all that. So I only have one, but I can get you, the board members, the link so they can check out the magazine. And the magazine is pretty amazing. They have 7,500 social media followers and 12,000 plus printed subscribers that go throughout the country. So that see articles like on Carson City. So we're working with Parks and Rec to get everything set, but it's going to be October. It's going to be the second week in October this year, October 9th to 12th. So, and that's it. So any questions on any events?
Any questions for Stu?
Keep the events coming.
Yeah. No, I would say Stu's done an amazing job on continuing forward. We create a new event, bring a new event, and we're getting them to come back. They're add a day, add different activities where we can get that extra overnight stay. So he's done a wonderful job on that front. And I thought I would just run back real quick. If you see our logo, so we've taken our base logo and we've got that sports piece in there. Lydia and Stu and Kay, they came up, I think, with a great look and feel here, customizing something as we're moving forward on the trade show end of things with sports. So I'm pretty pleased with how this came out. And you see kind of that branded nature on the bottom. That's the Parks, Rec, and Open Space logo as well. So we're joined at the hip, and I want to just throw out that Scott Chapman is actually going with Stu to Teams 24. So it's a great partnership between Visit Carson City and Carson City Parks, Rec, and Open Space. So I'm very excited about that and the collaboration between us.
And when you first started with the contact for the event, I was asking him, if Carson City was the right fit. And he's familiar with Carson City. He's been here many times, lives in Chicago. But he thought that Carson is a perfect opportunity, perfect location for the sporting events that mix in. We'll be working with actually Tahoe too.
Yeah.
Stu Moss up there. But they have the event center, but they were telling me we have the greens down here that they actually don't have. So we'll be working in a partnership with Tahoe for that as well.
Thank you for including that. Yeah, I think it's a great regional effort, right? Combining efforts, looking at the different facilities that we do and we don't have between our communities, and figure out the room nights piece, obviously, as well. But yeah, some great partnership going on here between multiple entities. So cool. Any questions for Stu? Okay. With that, we'll move on to 11F. Lydia is not here, so I apologize, Stacy, that I have to run through the marketing and PR presentation. With that, I will try to be quick. I'm not as good as Lydia, so just go with the B team here. We've got an August digital website update, August PR update, hotel beds update, travel zoo update, and then some new videos that Zach has done an incredible job on. So let's take a quick high-level look at website visitation and our digital ad efforts. So we spent roughly the same amount in August as we did in July, but we've had some decrease in performance due to ad fatigue. But at the end of August, to combat that, Lydia put some new ads in place with newsletter ads and remarketing, and specifically around lodging booking campaigns. So we're hoping that'll kind of pump us up on an upward trajectory over the next few months. And then don't forget, we have the nostalgia ads. So we've updated new creative. We also are choosing to keep the visitor guide the same this year. We're using the savings in the budget to put that towards the winter campaign, which will hang out there, and that's to combat snow, no snow, to get us from about November through March, maybe early April. And then lastly, we are running some A/B testing on our local getaway and outdoor recreation campaigns to see which landing pages generate the most lodging referrals. So I'm not going to read through any of the numbers unless you guys want to key on any particular number on this particular slide. Public relations, July and August. We had some really nice placements in July, the first being with Amy Alonzo, who hiked the Cap to Tahoe and shared her experience in the Nevada Independent. And we were also included in 2 other articles from a French publication called Easy Voyage, noting Carson City as a place for notable attractions and lodging near Lake Tahoe, which I think is fantastic. Again, one of our strategic priorities is leveraging Lake Tahoe, the fact that it's in our backyard. And as new member Reno often reminds me, 6.2% of the lake is in Carson City. So thank you for reminding us of that, Vice Chair Reno. All right. Next slide. In August, we had an awesome article written by Alec Sills Trausch sharing his experience visiting Reno Tahoe territory. One highlight being his hike as well on the Cap to Tahoe, and he did hang gliding, and we got some notable features in the story. And then lastly, we had some great mentions in Travel and Leisure, great publication, as well as Pride Journeys in August. Hotel beds. So we participated, again, in the Hotel Beds Co-op as a part of their annual Go West campaign. So this is a co-op that Travel Nevada puts out, so it's a great opportunity for us to get kind of a big bang for our buck, per se. So highlighting Hotel Beds' top destinations across the region. There were 8 city partners and 4 state partners that joined in the campaign, with preset buy-ins for our source markets of the United States, the UK, Canada, Mexico, and Spain. We were able to have a comprehensive landing page just for Carson City, which is critical, I think. So we're not sharing the space with other partner DMOs in Nevada. We had our own page and included downloadable materials, video, photo options, as well as a narrative describing Carson City. The top table is showing the actual bookings in comparison to last year, and the bottom is the total Go West campaign numbers. And then specifically, it's targeting travel agents as a reminder, and we're pleased to see the reach and exposure to this particular part of the industry. So this is the anomaly. Most of what we're doing is to the consumer. This is going out to travel agents, in this case with Hotel Beds. So any questions on Hotel Beds that I may or may not be able to answer? All right. Great. Let's move on to Travel Zoo. So this is another co-op opportunity through Travel Nevada, and I should mention, grant funded as well, so we're 50-50 match. So our Travel Zoo partnership, it basically includes an article on their website highlighting Carson City solely. So again, as you can see here, just Carson City, which I think is great versus trying to split the page between multiple destinations. We also received a feature in their newsletter and a social media post. And this has an expected promised reach of over 1 million people. And then once we conclude, Lydia will provide everybody with a full post-campaign report on this one. So this is actually new co-op, and I'm glad that we were able to salvage this with Travel Zoo, because it's something that we've talked about, Lydia and I have talked about probably for a couple of years with Donna Marcon, and we finally were able to pull something off. So excited to get that underway. All right, with that, we will move on to our refreshed Nevada State Museum video. Again, Zach did a fantastic job. Here we go.
The Nevada State Museum really makes history come alive. What I am most excited about when people come to the museum is the fact that they're going to leave with a sense of the adventure story that is Nevada. This is a place of stories for Nevadans, for people traveling through Nevada, for young and old alike. Museums are one of the most important cultural institutions in the world, if you think about it. We think of history as something that belongs to the past, but really it's the opposite. The past is really about the present. So museums are about us. This museum really loves to share those stories, loves to bring people into that adventure story of Nevada. Nevada's been a wild place, so the museum has a certain wildness to it, and we love that about it. We have amazing artifacts here, and we tell stories about the state's natural history, its cultural history, the mine and the Columbian mammoth and the coin press. And so that's what I like to think about as people head back home, is the memory that they hold of this museum and learning a little bit about that wonderful, interesting, really diverse past that is Nevada. The Nevada
Oh, holy smokes, hang on. There we go, okay. So Zach also did a super job with this video for murals and music promotion with one of the artists returning for the second annual. He's made a ton of content, including artist bio videos, and I think they've been a super addition, quite frankly, to what we're putting out there on social media. Eric also touched on what we're going to do with the artists this year with the kind of selfie thing with the iPhone or Google phone or whatever the case may be. That seems to be a cool thing on social media, and I think that's going to be a new added element this year. So I will play this lovely video for you all as well.
My name is Eric Burke. I'm an artist. I'm here in Carson City painting a mural. Day one, let's go.
I believe that the arts and culture scene in Northern Nevada is booming. Color needs to be added in every city, especially in a historical site like this.
The great thing about murals is that the art brings cities together, and this is a way to heal a city.
Yeah, like public art, murals, street art, graffiti, all that kind of stuff is done because people love to do it usually. I believe art to be like accessible to everybody, and this is the best way to do it.
When you drive by, you see something beautiful like this, it brings life to town, it brings people together, and that's really important.
I think it's like maybe 90 or 120 by 30. It's big.
So many people are driving by, walking by, and they get to see it every day, and they're like, dude, this makes my day better. This is way better than this blank wall with all this clutter in front of it. It really makes people prideful of their space and their town, and I love that.
You can join us here in Carson City for the Murals and Music Festival, September 26th through 28th, 2024.
What a voiceover by Mr. Brooks. That was delicious. I love it. That's all I got for you on the marketing and public relation front. So I'm happy to answer any questions on behalf of Lydia Beck, if there are any. All right. Hearing none. It was a great effort. So these are really cool videos, and I think there's a couple more being worked on, but I don't want to say something and then Lydia's like, oh my God, why'd you say that we're doing that video when we're not? So I'll just leave that as a surprise for next month, perhaps. With that, we'll move on to 11G, future agenda items. Any requests from board members for next month's meeting? Okay, hearing none. 11H, our next meeting, right here in this room, October 14th at 4 p.m. With that, I will turn it back to you, Chair Jones.
Thank you, David. That moves us to item 12, board comments or announcements. Requests for information. Board members? No? I'll move next to public comment.
Denny French, Carson City, Nevada. First off, I'd have to sort of divide your meeting up into wow and wonderful and amazed, and the amount of work everybody's put into this and the considerations that you all have taken time and such to do, and divide that message with, holy cow, if I could get a few of you to do that much work and that much review and that much research into what you're planning to put on our fields, you would probably conclude like I do. You're suggesting go west is your campaign. I'm suggesting don't go waste. We're putting ourselves into more than waist-deep situation with artificial turf. I'm so pleased they took the crumb rubber portion of it out as an option. I'm sorry that they didn't also include the microplastics that will be left by the materials. And as you are a nurse and as Giomi is a person that has been around toxic materials with things like our fire retention or such like that, they have a use. In this case, there is no reason to put artificial turf. With proper care of the fields that we have, we could supply and support a great deal of tournament use. Jennifer Budge leaves that to the fact that the decline in them is due to the fact that they didn't have money. They didn't have staff. while she at the same time was claiming they had plenty of money and plenty of staff. So that either means they're not using their staff to really maintain those fields, or they don't know how. I worked at a golf course, and one green could sustain tournament after tournament with the proper care. And that meant that they had to have a specialist there. And yes, it took time and work and very good consideration. And I think once these fields got straightened up and had the proper care on a long, full basis and a seasonally based, they already changed the type of turf. They already know enough to keep it mowed, and they certainly do a good amount of work. But what you do and how much time is dependent on how efficient you are and how up-to-date your program is. The newer techniques and modern turf care is so much less expensive and so much less toxic than anything you're going to put down as far as plastic or rubber. And I would urge you to put some of the energy that you have into all these wonderful programs that a lot of them I miss because of health issues. Now, that's not on you, that's on me. But I know that people enjoyed them. I know that they would enjoy well-kept fields. I played for 5-6 years on softball team fast pitch on fields that were maintained by people that were field preppers. They were totally trained on that. The work that will have to be put into artificial turf has not been acknowledged here. And if you look at the manuals themselves, if you talk to the manufacturers, they require you. If you want to keep your warranty, you've got to do certain things. After every game, can you imagine what the staff will be? Thank you very much for your time, and I'm sorry that I'm timed because I think this is an urgent situation and more study needs to be made. Please consider the fact that we have wonderful opportunity now, and it's natural, and people will be begging for natural. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we'll move on. Any other public comment out there? I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We're adjourned.
Thank you.